I, like many Americans, have always been in a constant state of hustle, with money on the mind with everything that I do. For me, it started in 7th grade when I started going to uniform school, and my dad decided that I didn't need clothes anymore. So I had to start buying my own clothes because I did indeed still exist outside of school. I would bead bracelets to sell to my classmates, and that eventually evolved into me walking around with a duffel bag full of candy, chips, and Gatorade, turning me into the walking liquor store. I would replenish at Costco and take my profits to the weekend swap meets where I learned just how fast your hard-earned money goes. When I was about 14, I got really tired of how rough things were at home, so I started to save up so that eventually I could move out. Though I was never able to leave on my own accord because I was making money, my dad decided that he could be irresponsible with his. So he would blow all his money on bullshit and women on the weekends. And then after the weekends, he would ask me for his gas money for the week, and I would buy the groceries. And thus, my financial stressors and always trying to hustle to get ahead were born. Now, hip hop and Hollywood were always trying to sell us on this idea that any broke kid can hustle, grind hard enough, and become super rich. And you should strive to be that way. And if you don't, and you're poor, well, that's your fault, and also you should eat shit and die. My school was super academic heavy, one of the good schools. So they would always be telling us that we need to go to university or the military, and if we just went to the local community college, that we were a fucking loser. Guess who skipped the student loans and went to the local community college? The typical suburban or city lifestyle never appealed to me, even as a kid. But I didn't know where I fit into this life. I liked the hippie stories and the adventure. I was into environmentalism. I wanted to go to music festivals and do film, but I was just always told that none of that was ever realistic, that that's not a real life. Honestly, I didn't think I would make it out of my childhood, so when I did, I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? So I continued to do what I was already doing in school and opted for the hustle. And not because I wanted the luxurious rich lifestyle I was describing previously, but I wanted freedom. I wanted to travel, and I didn't want to be stuck in a life that I didn't want. I didn't want a conventional life. I didn't want to work until retirement age to start living, assuming that I would even live that long. But I didn't know where to start. Then I met 2 people when I was 19 and going to college that opened me up to a world of possibilities once you step outside of the lines that your family and society drew for you. In the last decade of my adult life, I tried a variety of things to support myself, and more recently started to set myself up for more long-term financial stability. The last big project I did was creating my own music festival, which led to a 2-year burnout period, which, to be honest, I'm still kind of recovering from. But that led me to leaving the US for a bit, which is a real blessing in disguise, because after being outside of the US for a while, I decided I need to be doing that permanently. It has been so healthy for me, and over the years, I have learned so much about myself, so much more about the world than what we're taught in school, or more than I would have ever learned just living in a suburban neighborhood and never traveling. And now, I know exactly what I'm here to do. And now that I live in Mexico, I have more time and space to actually do that. That was a very long intro, but I had to set up the topic of this video. Now, hustler aside, I'm a very ambitious person, a detailed-oriented visionary. I have many goals and things that I want to do in my life, but after living this slower-paced lifestyle outside of the US, the pace at which I want to pursue these goals has changed a bit. See, I've relaxed into the idea of letting these visions become lifelong projects that grow over time, organically. In the US, we romanticize the hustle. It's admirable, preferable. The hustler that achieves everything is iconic, especially when they become rich in their 30s, their 20s, early 20s. Now kids are stacking racks, making more than their parents. So we compare, we compete. They say, I could do it, you could do it too. And then they sell you guides. The possibility to get rich quick and exit the rat race is what keeps so many people on the hamster wheel. They think they could grind hard enough and they'll have a seat at the table with the millionaires and the billionaires. I myself thought that I could grind myself out of this system, that I could set myself up real quick with one of my ventures so I could quit this game and be comfortable. After many failed attempts, burnout, and entering my Saturn return, I'm finally seeing that it's a long game. I also found it doesn't take accumulating a lot of wealth to be free either. It's more so letting go of the idea of what you're told you need to be happy, and instead looking inside yourself and seeing what it is you truly need, value, and desire. And maybe changing the location you live in. Being in a more rural area of Mexico, I feel I found myself outside of the rat race, for as long as the capitalistic mindset doesn't spread to infect the whole. Because of course, there are pockets of its presence because of colonization. I've been settling into the idea of slowly building financial stability over some time and surrendering to the possibility of being a little broke for a while, and just knowing and having faith that I'm gonna be okay. Because you know what? I remember who the fuck I am. I'm a hustler at the end of the day, even if I don't want to be. So I know that I'm resourceful and I'll always be able to take care of myself. So that knowing enough allows me to just surrender and have faith and let go of that feeling of not having enough. The feeling of not having enough? Through my travels, I've already proven to myself that I don't need a lot to be happy. I was a fucking hippie living in a van without electricity. Don't need a lot of money, no crazy luxuries. Though I do really appreciate having a fridge now, and one day I think I would like a washer. But being in a place where I could actually eat clean, breathe clean, be close to nature, be close to cool people, travel sometimes, that is enough for me right now. I found myself in an environment I don't want to escape from, where I don't have to hurry anywhere. I can watch the seasons change and my garden grow. I have way less money than when I was living in the US, less access to the commodities I would typically enjoy, and yet I feel happier. I'm more optimistic about my future. I am now looking forward to building my projects and businesses at the pace of nature and without trying to force them before their time. I am being patient when I can't buy the things I want, and I treat them as the specialty they are when I do get them. It's not just the American hustler that experiences impatience with getting the things that they desire, but the typical American gets way too much of exactly what they want, when they want it, at the instant they want it. Like, you want Chinese food? Ethiopian? At midnight? Brought directly to you? You want a new set of fill in the blank? A good pair of jeans at a cheap price? Matcha everything? Cheese from Italy? Wine from France? Well, you could have it all, and it could be delivered directly to you right now if you pay an extra fee. You could have anything you want from any corner of the world. You don't have to know anything about it, the people, the land it came from. You just throw dollars at it and it's yours. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate that we have world trade or cultural exchange. It's dope that you could experience things from other cultures and that you don't have to fly across the world to access that. But at this point, with the amount of convenience that we have, like, we're not even participating in cultural exchange anymore. Things have been straight up commodified. There's a disconnection. Nothing is special anymore. Now you're drinking ceremonial grade matcha out of a plastic Starbucks cup and grabbing packaged sushi and caviar at your grocery store for lunch. When I was living in Colombia, we had to go on a mission just to track down some nuts and spices. And the nearby city was an hour away, so we would take a day trip and go search. And when we finally found a bakery that was selling peanut butter, everyone got their own little jar so that we could savor it as we pleased. In Mexico, we have a little more access to variety as much more grows here, but not having access to mega markets really makes me appreciate what we have. Like, imagine what the world was like when world trade was new. I want to experience that kind of awe and wonder at seeing and receiving something new, not satisfying an urge for something the moment desire arises. The wait, the chase, the earning, the exploration, the imagination, all of that has been lost in the way that Americans consume, and I'm intentionally trying to bring that back for myself. Another part of Americanness that I struggle with is always trying to be productive. Like, it is so hard to just allow myself to rest, to do art, to do nothing, to just go out and have fun. I'm always thinking about money, and maybe it's because I'm in debt right now, but even when I'm resting and trying to do healing work for myself, it all feels quantified and forced. Through this process of deconditioning, you need to constantly be dismantling the systemic conditioning that we've all been through. Thankfully, now that I've learned, tying it back to the beginning, that it's gonna take some time. That's human shit. That's natural shit. And I'm just not gonna judge myself anymore. I know a part of me is gonna wanna keep reverting back to factory settings, but I know that I am on this journey to getting out of my Americanness and growing into my current environment here in Mexico.